Aaron, obviously you didn't really get a chance to see how it would go because Chris was out first ball, but what was the sort of thinking behind opening with him, and do you think that can be a long-term plan?
Yeah, I think it can be a long-term plan. I think that it was an attacking option to put Chris at the top, change him and Travis. I think to put a couple of guys up there who can take it on and get off to a bit of a flyer, I think is an attacking move. So if I had my time again, I'd still do it again. It just didn't come off today either for Chris or I.
Is there a bit of pressure on Chris and Travis, Aaron? That cohesion hasn't quite been there, I guess, in the top four, and what do those guys need to do, I guess, to sort of cement themselves?
Oh, it's not just them; it was myself included. I think between us, we made about 150 runs for the tournament in three key batting positions, 2 opening and a number 4. So that was disappointing from all of us, and I think that from their point of view, I think it's just about Chris. I think it was his 3rd or 4th game today. So he's still relatively new to international cricket. He's been around domestic cricket and various tournaments for a long time, but international cricket, he's probably just still trying to find his feet a little bit and work out. He knows what works best for him in the shortest format, T20. It's probably just about finding that balance at international level as well.
And there's still obviously a big feeling that he can have a huge impact at a tournament like a World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way that he played in the JLT Cup this year was exceptional. Leading run scorer, being the guy who hadn't played one-day cricket for a long time. So that was really positive. I think that the way that he can turn a game, we saw it briefly in Adelaide when he flicked the switch against Rabada for that over. Yes, he got out, but he changed the momentum in the game totally. So I think that's still definitely a thought going forward.
Was it purely your decision for him to open?
JL and I discussed it and slept on it, to be honest. We had a chat last night and went through it and both slept on it. And we're excited about it. We thought it was, like I said, a really attacking move to try and take South Africa head on in that power play. It's something that we hadn't nailed in this 3-game series so far, and we wanted to sort of fight fire with fire almost, and it didn't pay off today. But that's cricket. Some days it comes off and you get off to a flyer, and then that makes it down the line. It makes it a bit simpler.
Is that where one day cricket's head? You saw England and their scores in
Yep.
in England. Is that where it's head?
Well, I think that's not the only way it's heading. I think if you look at the way that India play, they're generally quite conservative in that first 10, been really solid through that middle 30 overs where they rotate the strike, they lose minimal wickets, and then they load up at the back end. And when they're chasing, obviously they're pretty clinical, or they have been in the last 5 or 6 years. So there's 2 totally different ways to go about it, but they've both been ultra successful in the last couple of years. So I don't think it's all about going head on and smacking it all out attack the way that England play. But I think that if you can mix and match and find what best fits your batting 7, I think it'd be naive and ignorant to think that every team can play like that or every team can play like India. I think it's about finding our balance and finding what works best for us as a one-day team.
Do you know, you're not going to play like England or India, but do you know which way you'd lean at your best? Do you think you're good to just go hell for leather from the start, or play a bit like India does? What do you think you're best suited to your current batting lineup?
Well, I think that if you look at our lineup on paper at the moment, you'd say that it's an attacking side. It's a fairly one-dimensional side in terms of attack versus workers of the ball and your traditional sort of batsman. Not to disrespect any of the players by any stretch of the imagination, but it's probably that way, and we haven't got it right for a while, and that does expose you in the middle order at times when you come up on some different wickets or a really good attack who get on top of you early. So I think what have we got, a month, bit over 2 months even till the next one-day games against India. So I think that'll be a really good opportunity to sit down and reassess and sort of start mapping out that process of how I think JL thinks and the leaders think that we can be the most successful in this format.
So do you think it's a case of maybe changing it up and going in a different direction, given, as you said, you have been going that one direction and it hasn't been working the last little while?
Well, I think that the side that we've got at the moment is that way inclined. It's not necessarily the way that we've been trying to play. So I think that it's probably going to be a combination of both. I think that we have to either adapt our game plan a little bit around the way that the side structures up best, or we slightly change our personnel to fit a style that we think can win. But that's something that will come out over the next couple of months when we sit down and dig into it and find a way to get back on top of the world.
Different topic. Can you talk a bit about Shaun Marsh? Obviously, you were with him during a disappointing patch for him in the UAE, and then he's come back here and got runs in Shield, and then he's come back into this one-day team. Just how has he been on both sides of the world from your point of view? Yeah,
he's one of the best blokes you'll ever meet. So it's really easy to get super excited when he does well, but it's so hard not to be really down with him when things don't go so well. He's a guy that everyone loves and everyone wants in the team, and everyone wants to do well all the time. It was no doubt very tough for him in the UAE. He didn't play as well as he would have liked, and felt the pressure, I guess. But the way that he's bounced back straight away, come into the Shield with an 80 and a 98, and then 28 last game, looked $1 million, and then today, unbelievable 100 in some pretty difficult circumstances with wickets falling around him at the top, and then rebuilding a great partnership and starting to launch a real counter attack. So really pleased that he got 100. He doesn't miss out too many times at Hobart.
Glenn Maxwell's obviously a player I've spoken about a lot, and you played a lot with him. He batted at 7 today,
yep.
but also bowled a lot more than he has in one-day cricket over the last 2 or 3 years. Just sort of talk us through both of those decisions.
Yeah, I thought the way that David Miller was sort of lining up the leg spin to the shortish boundary was going to be a bit more risky, so we went with Maxi, and we thought we got Miller there on 40 odd, not to be though, unfortunately. But he bowled nicely today, no doubt. And with batting at 7, I think it's, if you look at Glenn's stats recently, he probably hasn't made as many runs as he would have liked as a pure batsman. So therefore, you have to, for him to be in the side and as an all-rounder, he's probably batting in that number 7 spot.
So you think that's probably his future in the team, at least in the short to medium term?
Oh, I think with guys playing reasonably well around him. Stoinis played really well at 5 today. Alex, the couple opportunities at 5, and then today at 6 that he had, he played excellent. So I think Maxi would have liked some more runs, and obviously he wants to bat higher. But reality is, he's in the side as a bit of an all-rounder, but he hasn't scored as many runs as he needed to over the last little while in one-day cricket to probably justify taking up a top 4 spot. That's just reality at the end of the day.
And just on that, Aaron, do you, with his spot there, say at 7, does that sort of indicate that he's under a fair bit of pressure to stay in the side, or do you see maybe that specialist role that James Faulkner played at the last World Cup? Is that something that you think Maxwell can? We're
all under pressure when we lose, no doubt about that. I think when between the batting lineup not having got it right for a little while now, there's going to be some questions asked, whether it's Maxi, whether it's Linny, Hetty, myself, Stoin. I think there's going to be questions asked of all of us. So I think it's important that we start to really nut down the balance of the side and get that right moving forward.
And mate, I know you won't want to be complaining about this after the game, but did you have an issue with the amount of time that it took for that referral from South Africa, and just about how that, the point, I guess, of having a time limit?
Faf actually signalled a little bit before the 15 seconds or 20 seconds, whatever it was up. So I had no issue with them using it. we were pretty confident that we didn't need it, that it wouldn't matter. But bouncing over was a good review in the end, wasn't it?